Font and type design have always intrigued me, so after seeing today's great lineup of type, typography in homes, and typography in the market, I thought it would be fun to speak to local artists who specialize in the field. So I packed up my camera and hopped on the subway to meet with some of my favorites. But because everybody had so many great things to say, I decided to break their interviews into 3 separate videos. Today I'm starting things off with Jesse Ragan, a talented type designer who's based in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So let's meet Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jesse Ragan. I design typefaces and lettering. When I was in high school, I got really interested in typefaces, sort of first realized that they even existed, and I would dial up to bulletin boards and download pirated fonts and things, which of course is reprehensible to me now. But I collected them and I categorized them and I got really excited about them. So then when I went to RISD and I found out that there are actually people who do this for a living and that it's a valid career direction, possibly, I really focused my studies on that. A lot of my projects are historically based, so I do draw a lot of inspiration from the past and from things that people have designed in the past. Sometimes I feel sort of indignant when I find a design that, or a piece of lettering or a typeface from metal type days or phototype that hasn't been brought into digital form so that it's not accessible to digital designers. But also I think when a client comes to me with a specific need, that's what's really inspiring, is to feel that there's a need for something, there's a lack of something in a certain niche of design that I can fill. So problem solving, I guess, would be the other thing that drives me as a designer. Usually I would start with some kind of client brief, but then pretty quickly go into looking at what else is already out there. How is this going to be different from what is already available digitally? And also looking historically again what the context is of other things that have come before, because obviously we can learn from the mistakes that people have made in the past. And then from there, just designing a few basic characters of the typeface to get an idea of what the parameters are. Really refining those and getting those perfect before moving on to the next stage, which would be a slightly larger set of characters. Getting those really perfect and then going to a larger set. So it's a very cumulative process where everything is refined at multiple stages along the way. And I find that's the most efficient way to work to get a really good product as quickly as possible, which is, I guess, part of the goal. I do usually start by sketching by hand. I'm not great working by hand, so I do tend to move to the computer pretty quickly. As far as software, I use FontLab primarily for drawing type. It's a very frustrating piece of software. It has a lot of problems, but it does get the job done for the most part. And then I also use a few independently developed applications like Metrics Machine and Superbulator, Prepulator, which have been created by other type designers who were just sort of fed up with the tools that existed. So it is sort of a very homegrown industry, and I think we all sort of work together to make it better for us. For me, the easiest part of being a type designer is the middle part of a design. It's when there's really that sort of synergy happening and all of the basic aesthetic and the structure and the rhythm and the systems are all established, and it's just the font starts designing itself, and all the glyphs just sort of, it all feels natural and it all feels sort of organic. That's the really exciting part for me in designing a typeface. The hardest part for designing a typeface really is not the design part, but naming a typeface, I think. There are so many typefaces out there and there are so many names that have already been used. So finding a name that's actually appropriate to the typeface, that's marketable, that looks good when set in the typeface. That's something you might not think of, but it's important that, because it's going to happen a lot, the name of the typeface, set in the typeface. So you want to show off all of the sort of crucial characters in the letters of that word. So that's a really tricky thing. I would say just start doing it, just start drawing type, just start sketching it, and then get your hands on some font software and start actually digitally designing type. Most people in my industry are self-taught. I had the fortune to study with a few really talented people, so I did have teachers. But most people figure it out on their own. But I think it's important too to realize that you don't know all the answers right away, that it is something that, it's a lifelong learning process, designing type. I'm definitely still learning stuff all the time.
Jesse has an amazing body of work that you can check out in full at jesseragan.com. And if you're looking for custom font design, he's available for new projects as well. Thanks so much to Jesse for taking time to chat with me.